faith over fear, trusting the path you can't see. If I were to ask you whether you are living by faith or by sight, how would you answer? Are you intentionally walking in alignment with God's will, purpose, and plan for your life? Or are you simply moving forward, hoping everything will work out on its own? God calls us to trust Him completely, not just in some things, but in every area of life. He wants us to walk by faith, not by what we can see, touch, or control. Many people struggle with this because they feel they need proof or visible results before they can believe. It's human nature to want certainty and reassurance. But here's the truth. Faith begins where certainty ends. True faith is trusting God even when the outcome isn't visible or guaranteed. It's believing that His plan is good, even when the current situation seems unclear or challenging. The reality is that faith and sight cannot coexist. When we choose to live by faith, we relinquish the need to see the entire picture. Instead, we trust the one who already knows the end from the beginning. Faith is a journey of surrender, one that challenges us to trust God fully, even when the path ahead is hidden. Throughout life, we face countless decisions that shape who we are and where we go. Should I pursue this career path? Is this person the one I'm meant to marry? Should I move to a new city or stay where I am? These choices can feel overwhelming because they have long-term consequences. And naturally, we want to get it right. We want clarity, assurance, and sometimes even a sign from God to confirm our path. But here's the challenge. Life doesn't come with a roadmap. God rarely hands us a detailed plan that spells out every step we're supposed to take. Instead, He invites us to trust Him, even when we don't have all the answers. Faith requires us to step into the unknown, relying on God to guide us as we move forward. It's important to understand that making decisions by faith doesn't mean we act recklessly or without wisdom. God gives us tools to help us make sound choices: prayer, scripture, wise counsel, and the peace of His presence. When we seek Him with a sincere heart, He will guide us, even if the path isn't immediately clear. Faith is more than just a concept, it's a way of life. Hebrews 11 verse 1 defines faith as the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This means that faith is rooted in trust, believing in what we cannot see or fully understand. Often we want guarantees before we act. We want to see the outcome before we make a decision. But faith doesn't work that way. Faith means stepping out in obedience, trusting that God will provide the answer or the solution along the way. It's about believing in your heart before the evidence shows up in your circumstances. When we live by faith, we're saying, God, I trust you even when I don't understand. I believe your plans for me are good, even when life feels uncertain. This kind of trust gives us courage to move forward, knowing that we are not alone. Faith doesn't eliminate uncertainty, but it gives us confidence in the one who holds our future. When faced with difficult decisions, it's natural to feel anxious or unsure. We wonder if we're making the right choice, if we'll regret it later, or if we'll miss out on God's best for us. But here's the key. God doesn't expect us to have all the answers. He simply asks us to trust Him. Trusting God with your choices begins with surrender. It's acknowledging that you don't have to figure everything out on your own. Instead, you can rely on God's wisdom, guidance, and provision. This doesn't mean you won't make mistakes or face challenges, but it does mean you can move forward with confidence, knowing that God is in control. Even when we make wrong choices, God's plans are not derailed. He is a God of redemption, able to take our mistakes and use them for good. Romans 8:28 reminds us, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. When we trust God with our decisions, we can rest in the assurance that He is working all things together for our good. One of the greatest challenges in walking by faith is discerning God's voice. How do we know when He's speaking to us? How can we be sure we're following His guidance and not just our own desires? The truth is, God speaks to all of us, but we have to be willing to listen. Sometimes His voice comes through prayer, scripture, or the wisdom of others. Other times, it's a quiet nudge in our spirit, a sense of peace, or a conviction in our heart. But to hear Him, we must be still. In the busyness of life, it's easy to miss His voice. That's why it's so important to create space for God, to spend time in prayer, meditate on His word, and seek Him with an open heart. God doesn't always give us the answers we want, and sometimes his guidance doesn't make logical sense. But faith means trusting him even when we don't understand. It's believing that his ways are higher than ours and that his plans are always for our good. There will be times in life when God's plan doesn't align with our expectations. We face setbacks, disappointments, or situations that seem unfair. In these moments, it's tempting to doubt God's goodness or question his purpose. But this is where faith becomes real. Trusting God when you don't understand is one of the greatest tests of faith. It means believing that he is in control, even when life feels chaotic. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds us of God's promise. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." God's plans for us are always good, even when we can't see it. He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating every detail for our benefit. When we choose to trust him, we're saying, "God, I believe you are faithful. I believe you are good. And I believe you are working all things together for my good." One of the most comforting truths about God is that he is a redeemer. He takes our brokenness, our mistakes, and our failures, and he turns them into something beautiful. No matter how far we've strayed or how many times we've fallen, God's love never fails. Even when we feel like we've messed up beyond repair, God's grace is sufficient. He doesn't give up on us or abandon us. Instead, he lovingly corrects our path, guiding us back to his will. Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." God's redemption isn't just about fixing our mistakes, it's about transforming them. He uses our struggles and failures to grow us, shape us, and draw us closer to him. And in the process, he reveals his incredible power and grace. At the end of the day, walking by faith is about surrendering control. It's about trusting that God is in charge and that his plans for us are good. When we truly believe this, we can let go of worry, fear, and doubt. God holds your life in his hands. He knows every detail, every struggle, and every dream in your heart. And he promises to be with you every step of the way. Even when the path ahead is uncertain, you can rest in the assurance that God is leading you. So lay your head down at night with peace. Trust that the creator of the universe is working all things together for your good. He is opening doors, closing the wrong ones, and leading you to where you're meant to be. You don't have to have all the answers. God does, and he will never let you down. Faith is an action. It's stepping out even when you're unsure, trusting that God will guide your steps. You may not see the entire path, but you can trust the one who does. Take that step of faith. Trust God with your decisions, your future, and your life. He has amazing plans for you, plans filled with hope, grace, and purpose. When you walk by faith, you're saying, "God, I trust you with everything." And when you do that, he will never fail to lead you exactly where you need to be.